Ugh, I'm so vain sometimes. Like, I look like shit, and I'm like, but you could look like shit +1 if you just fixed your hair a little bit so you didn't look like so much of an egg. But I'm like, what's so unattractive about eggs? Like, what's so wrong with looking like an egg? Why have I been made to feel ugly for being an egg-looking ass motherfucker? Like, for real. The last thing I have time to do right now is vlog, but I just feel like I need to get this out, especially because I just have this feeling that a lot of you are going to understand, and I don't know, I don't have a ton of people in my life that operate the same way I do, but that's the beauty of the internet, is that you connect with people that are near and far but can be so compatible with you. Anyway, I reached kind of a breakthrough in my morning pages today. I jokingly, it was very tongue-in-cheek, by the way, in a previous oversharing video, said that I got off antidepressants in May when I quit my job, because there's no way I could possibly be depressed in the summer without a job in Seattle when a bunch of my friends are visiting. Obviously, there are a lot of factors that go into depression, and certainly your chemical makeup is one of them. There are certain impairments some of us just have, and even if the world accommodated us much better, we would still deal with those things. Like, that's the deal. Against all odds, I'm feeling like if I don't really intervene in my life right now, I could end up in the same spot that I was in January. I'm getting better at like depression relapse prevention. That's really what I've been working on with my therapist. And I can just feel right now that I've crammed my life so full that I no longer have time to slow down. And it's like such a dialectic push and pull force in my life, because I obviously love the way I'm living right now in some respects. Like, I've had basically a different visitor in my quarters every weekend. I've had a different person stay with me. Maree came last weekend. My friend Sheridan's coming this weekend. My cousins and my parents are visiting next week. And then my friend Ellie comes, and then I'm going backpacking. Like, this summer filled up kind of unintentionally. Like, I didn't even really try to slot every week out. It just sort of like blotted full of stuff. And that's not even like, there were still other people that were trying to come, and I'm like, honestly, thank God that they didn't, because I would be underwater right now. And it feels silly to be stressed or anxious about how active my life is and how full of good things my life is. You know, it feels bizarre. Like, it's just so interesting to me. Like, it doesn't matter what the contents are. If I'm filling my life up to the brim and leaving no space to move slowly and live slowly, like, I am not gonna be well. I'm not gonna be well. And it feels like the depression sort of like relapse in January really motivated me to do some housekeeping in my life. And I pruned back a lot of the commitments I had made and said, hey, and it's really fucking hard for me to quit things. It's really fucking hard for me. Like, I think it's a lot easier for other people, but maybe that's just my perception being warped again. But I've been listening to this podcast called Quitted with Holly Whitaker, who wrote Quit Like a Woman about quitting drinking and alcohol. And I really enjoyed that read. And it's honestly, like, even beyond drinking, just kind of a book about like, what does it mean to like really change your lifestyle to be radically in alignment with like your own values and not the values you've inherited from around you, which I think is also a central tenet of my philosophy in life. And that philosophy is translated into this YouTube channel. So this channel's philosophy. But she's doing a podcast now where she interviews different people who are just quitting things. Like, she interviewed Africa Brooke, who quit woke culture. Like, she is so progressive. Like, I really admire a lot of what she said in that, because I think it needs to be said. And there's people who have quit their religions, quit their jobs, obviously, quit addictions, just quit all sorts of things. And some of the people in there are like, they call them like black diamond quitters. Like, they will just impulsively boom, 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 boom. Something's not working. If something's not like an emphatic yes. And actually that kind of relates to, it's 90 goddamn degrees. It's a heat wave in Seattle right now. So like the fact that I've been sleeping in like 74 degree weather with a fan on me also is contributing to not feeling well. Like I'm just so fatigued. Like I think I honestly might have seasonal affective disorder, but for when it gets really hot. Like I think if I lived in Arizona, like I would, like I was honestly not having a good time in LA towards the end of it. And I'm like, I wonder if it literally was like the reverse seasonal affective disorder where I was just like, it's too hot, it's too sunny. Anyway, I've been reading this book, Pleasure Activism, which is one of the first little free library picks I've ever gotten. Like I'm very discerning with my little free library picks because I don't want to take something away that I'm not actually going to read. Like I'm like, if I'm going to take it from the little free library, I actually want to read it. And this was so compelling. Adrienne Maree Brown, amazing force in this world, period. And it's a collection of essays and interviews and writings that she's compiled on the politics of feeling good and how liberatory and radical it really is to live your life by seeking out what feels like joyful and positive and like an emphatic yes in your life. And I don't think I was living my life that way for the past 25 years. Like I was doing everything I thought I should do, but not necessarily was like extremely leaning into. Like I've talked multiple times about, this is like, I literally wrote my college essay about this and then I regretted it because I was like, this is a phony ass story. But I'm like, no, this like actually is part of my like character arc, quitting basketball in high school, because that was like one of the first things I quit. And I actually wrote my college essay about having a hard time quitting. And that just clicked in. I just realized, and it like comes right back. Like that's not something I've really progressed on much. I'm such a slow burn. Like it just takes me so long to come to terms with things, whether that's attraction, whether that's quitting. Like it takes me a long time to feel ready and to feel like it is an emphatic yes, let's go, 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 go. And that's okay. That's okay. We all move at different paces. I'm not like wishing that I were a completely different person who lived a completely different way and were more like impulsive. Like this is just the way that feels good to me and I'm honoring what feels good. But like I've had difficulty quitting things. And so back in January when I was pruning my life back and saying, no, I actually can't do this anymore. I have to step away from this. Or like, no, you're not going to sign up for Chinese too. Like you're not going to sign, because I was taking Chinese language classes, if you guys remember. And like, I literally still feel shitty about that. I'm like, I want to be the kind of person that like is actively learning languages and taking it seriously. And really, it's something I care about and value. And it sucks to live like outside of your values, but there really is only so much time in the day. And once I did that, it seriously improved my quality of life. Like I felt so much better. And now it feels like that my life is growing back, you know, like it's a hedge. You can whack at the hedge and really trim it back, but it's going to grow. You know, our lives fill the shape that they have. They fill, you know, when you go to the grocery store, they want you to take a basket or a cart so that you fill the contents. Or like when you're at like a cafeteria, they want you to get a tray so that you can fill the tray up and not just get one plate of food, but like 4. It's the same thing. Like I just feel like my life like balloons out to fill the mold, but then the mold like is a little bigger than actually what I can handle. And so I'm like, no, before I actually sink, I need to cut bait a little bit and like figure out what I'm going to drop in my life. And it's just like, it sucks. Everything I'm involved in right now is like really fulfilling. And so it's like, it sucks to quit things that you actually enjoy doing. That's like the phase of life that I'm at right now. But I don't want my life to feel busy. I want it to feel full in some respects. I screenshotted something. We must get serious about taking ourselves lightly. And I don't think I get serious about that very cyclically. And I was being really down on myself until I realized, hey, like maybe this isn't a flop and a failure. Maybe this is just like the cycle and the tides of your life. Like maybe, you know, it flows in, it flows out. Like right now you need to be in that sort of like retraction mode so that you can enjoy the things that you're involved in and not just feel like you're running around mindlessly. That's all I've got.
You've been lying in a hospital bed. 7 days now you've been lost in your head. I'm just sitting here exhausted and dead from watching you lay there. Oh, I fall willingly downstairs.
It's later. We're in classic Katherout fashion, which is t-shirt around the neck. Literally record half of my Patreon content like this. Maybe over half of my TikToks. That's exaggerating. It feels like that. But if I hadn't said anything, you would have thought I was just wearing an infinity scarf. You would have just thought I was wearing an infinity scarf. I'll turn this fan on off just for you. Indeed, it is later. Do I still feel anxious? Hell yeah. Am I getting closer to just throwing shit aimlessly off my plate? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. The main thing my therapist and I talked about ended up being sleep hygiene. Went in with the anxiety and came out with damn, I need to get my sleep hygiene in check. And what time is it? It's 8:57 and I've just finished eating dinner. Also, look at the growth of this freaking plant. I literally kissed it this morning. I was like, you're doing so great, sweetie. If this is any indication of how a plant can thrive after being pruned back, my sister literally, I can't remember when my sister clipped Z back, but it is it literally would have never grown these strands so long if it weren't for a clip at the base. And not to throw some freaking analogies into the mix, if you want to grow in a few areas, sometimes you have to clip back at the base. Sometimes you have to take away some of the core things in your life in order to really see what new offshoots can spring up. And I feel like I've beat that analogy to death now. And that's okay. I feel like being 26 is I know what I need to know about my emotions. I know that the things I'm worried about right now, they'll pass. I know everything I'm worried right now, I'm gonna look back and just guffaw at how ridiculous it all was because it worked out the way it needed to work out, you know? But that doesn't help me in present day. I know that getting sleep and eating dinner earlier and not being on screens is going to help, but there's still a gap in me being able to just do all those things at the snap of a finger. Your brain can be here, it's arrived, but then internally it's I still feel tight, I still feel clenched in the present moment. And it's wild because even 3 days ago I didn't feel like this, and now I'm what if this is the way I feel for the rest of my life? These thoughts, I'm having that thought again. I am having that thought again, is what my therapist would tell me to say. And these apples got ripe and then overripe, which is another little symbolic thing we can pull from. My life is a little bit overripe right now. Too much of the tastiness can make things go sour too. And yeah, when I put two metaphors in a clip is when I need to turn off the camera. So let's hope tomorrow's a better day.